The research station floated in the darkness beyond Neptune, a small metal dot in the vast emptiness of space. Inside, Dr. Hyun-Woo Kang stared at his computer screen with tired eyes. He had been awake for 36 hours straight. The numbers on the screen made no sense according to everything scientists knew about physics. But the numbers were real. They were impossible, but they were real. Hyun-Woo rubbed his face and checked the readings again. The dark matter containment field was stable. It should not be stable. Dark matter was invisible, untouchable, and impossible to control. Every scientist in the galaxy said so. The Galactic Council had declared dark matter research a waste of time 50 years ago. They said it was a dead end. They were wrong. He stood up from his chair and walked to the observation window. Earth was a tiny blue dot in the distance. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council 23 years ago. It was supposed to be humanity's greatest achievement. Finally, humans could travel among the stars and meet other intelligent species. Finally, they were part of something bigger. But the reality was different. The Council treated humans like children. They gave humanity old technology and strict rules. Humans could only build certain types of ships. They could only use approved weapons. They could only research approved topics. The Council said it was for safety. Hyun-Woo thought it was about control. The other species in the Council looked down on humans. They had been traveling space for thousands of years. Some of them had empires spanning hundreds of planets. Humanity controlled only their home system. The aliens called humans the newcomers with smiles that did not reach their eyes. They gave humans the worst seats at council meetings. They ignored human opinions. They treated Earth like a small, unimportant colony. Hyun-Woo turned back to his screen. The dark matter in his containment field held enough energy to power a city for a year, or destroy one in seconds. The implications made his hands shake. If he could contain dark matter, he could use it. If he could use it, he could build engines faster than anything in the galaxy. He could build weapons that would make Council warships look like toys. His communication terminal beeped. Commander Ji-won Park's face appeared on the screen. She commanded the Indomitable, one of only 5 military ships the Council allowed humanity to operate. Her expression was serious. Dr. Kang, I received your message. I'm coming to the station personally. Do not contact anyone else. Her voice was quiet and careful. If what you said is true, we need to be very careful about who knows. Hyun-Woo nodded. Understood, Commander. How long until you arrive? 6 hours. Sit tight. And Doctor? Hide your work. If any Council ships scan your station, they cannot see what you have done. The screen went dark. Hyun-Woo started working immediately. He encrypted his research files and buried them in the station's maintenance systems. He reset his equipment to show normal readings. By the time he finished, the station looked like any other boring research outpost studying ice formations in the Kuiper Belt. Commander Ji-won arrived exactly 6 hours later. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes and gray streaks in her black hair. She had fought in the border conflicts with the Talvun hegemony 3 years ago. The Talvun were one of the Council's most powerful members. They liked to test human defenses. Ji-won had earned their respect the hard way. She studied Hyun-Woo's data in silence for 20 minutes. Her face showed nothing. Finally, she looked up. This is real? You actually contain dark matter? Yes, it took me 4 years to develop the field equations. The Council said it was impossible, so nobody else tried. They were so certain it could not be done that they never bothered to actually prohibit the research. Ji-won's lips formed a thin smile. They thought we were too stupid to figure it out. Exactly. Can you imagine what we could do with this? Ships that move 30 times faster than Council vessels. Weapons that could phase through shields. Energy sources that never run out. I can imagine. I can also imagine what the Council would do if they found out. Ji-won's expression turned grim. They would shut this down immediately. They might even force humanity out of the Council. Or worse. There are regulations, Hyun-Woo admitted. The Forbidden Sciences Accord. Any research that could destabilize galactic power structures is banned. Dark matter weaponization would definitely qualify. And yet you continued. It was not a question. I continued because I am tired of being treated like a second-class citizen in my own galaxy. Humanity deserves better. Ji-won was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled out her secure communicator. I need to contact some people. People we can trust. If we are going to do this, we need support from the highest levels. 3 days later, A secret meeting took place in a secure bunker beneath the Geneva headquarters of Earth's Defense Force. Ambassador Taeyang Li arrived first. He was a small man with white hair and clever eyes. He had spent 15 years negotiating with the Council, always fighting for better terms for humanity, always being pushed back. Then came the military leaders, generals and admirals who understood what Hyunwoo's discovery meant. They asked hard questions. They wanted to know if the technology was real, if it could be weaponized, if it could be built in secret. Hyunwoo answered every question. The data spoke for itself. Ambassador Taeyang was the one who finally voiced what everyone was thinking. If we build weapons with this technology, we will be violating Council law. But if we do not build them, we will remain at the mercy of species who do not respect us. The question is simple. Do we obey unjust rules or do we fight for our place in this galaxy? The vote was unanimous. Humanity would build the dark matter warships in secret. They would construct a hidden facility in the Oort cloud, far from Council patrols. They would work quietly and carefully. And they would not reveal their new power until they were ready. The decision was made. There was no going back now. 2 months later, Coordinator Vrex of the Talvan hegemony arrived at Hyunwoo's station for a routine inspection. Vrex was a tall creature with blue skin and 4 arms. He looked at everything with bored contempt. He clearly thought this inspection was beneath him. Your research continues to produce nothing of value, Vrex said, reading the falsified reports. Perhaps humanity should focus on more practical matters than theoretical physics. Hyunwoo nodded humbly. You're probably right, Coordinator. I will consider redirecting my efforts. But then Vrex's scanner beeped. He frowned at the reading. There is an unusual energy signature here. Very faint. What is causing it? Hyunwoo's heart raced, but his face remained calm. The reactor has been giving intermittent readings.
Maintenance has been scheduled.
Nothing to worry about. Vrex studied him with suspicious eyes. For a terrible moment, Hyunwoo thought the Coordinator would investigate further. But then Vrex put away his scanner. See that it is repaired quickly. The Council does not tolerate unsafe facilities. After Vrex left, Hyunwoo sat down heavily. That was too close. They needed to move faster. The facility in the Oort cloud could not be completed soon enough. 6 months later, deep in the darkness at the edge of the solar system, the first dark matter reactor came online. The facility was hidden among billions of ice chunks and rocks. No Council patrol would ever find it by accident. And if they did search for it, the dark matter shielding would hide it from their sensors. Hyunwoo stood in the control room and watched the power readings climb. The numbers were beautiful. The reactor produced more energy than anything humanity had ever built. And this was just the prototype. The actual warships would be 10 times more powerful. Commander Ji-won stood beside him. How long until we can begin ship construction? 3 months for the first vessel. If everything goes perfectly, make it 2 months. The Council is proposing new restrictions on human expansion. They want to limit us even further. We are running out of time. Hyunwoo looked at the reactor readings one more time. Then he turned to the assembled engineers and scientists. People he trusted. People who believed humanity deserved better. They have no idea what we have just become, he said quietly. But they will learn. Soon the entire galaxy will learn. The dark matter reactor hummed with limitless power. In its glow, Hyunwoo saw the future. A future where humanity was not the weak newcomer. A future where humans could stand as equals. A future they would forge with their own hands in secret, in the darkness beyond the stars. The impossible had become real. Now came the hard part. Building an entire fleet without anyone noticing. Hyunwoo smiled despite the enormous task ahead. After all, everyone said containing dark matter was impossible too. Humanity had always been good at proving the impossible wrong. 3 years had passed since the first dark matter reactor came online. In that time, humanity had accomplished what should have been impossible. Deep in the Oort cloud, hidden from every sensor and patrol, 5 warships floated in the darkness. They were sleek and black, built with technology that would make the Council's most advanced vessels look primitive. Admiral Kyung-Soo Han stood on the bridge of the lead ship, the Phantom. He was a man who understood strategy better than anyone in the Defense Force. He knew that winning wars was not just about weapons. It was about timing, secrecy, and choosing the right moment to strike. Right now, the right moment had not arrived. How are the tests going? He asked Engineer Daeun Choi. She was young but brilliant, the lead designer of the dark matter propulsion system. Her hair was always messy and her eyes always tired, but her work was flawless. Better than expected, Admiral. The ships can reach speeds 30 times faster than Council FTL drives. The phasing system works perfectly. We tested it yesterday. The ship passed through a solid asteroid like it was not even there. Da-Yun pulled up a holographic display. And the weapons. Admiral, the weapons are terrifying. We can disintegrate a target at the molecular level. There would be nothing left. Not even debris. Kyung-Soo nodded slowly. Good, but we need more ships. 5 is not enough. We need overwhelming force before we reveal ourselves. We are building as fast as we can. The problem is resources. We have to steal them slowly so the Council does not notice. Every ship takes months. Then we work faster. The Council grows more restrictive every day. Yesterday they proposed limiting human colonies to 3 planets total. 3 planets for our entire species. They are strangling us slowly. Da-Un looked worried. Admiral, there is something else. We detected a Council investigation team heading toward Earth, led by someone called Inquisitor Kelth. Have you heard of him? Kyung-Soo's expression darkened. Everyone has heard of Kelth. He is from the Oversight Directorate. They investigate species who violate Council regulations. He is smart, patient, and he never gives up. If he is coming to Earth, someone suspects something. 2 weeks later, Inquisitor Kelth arrived at Earth. He was a thin creature with gray skin and large black eyes that seemed to see everything. He moved slowly and spoke softly, but there was something dangerous about him, like a predator studying its prey. Ambassador Tae-Yang met him at the Geneva spaceport. Inquisitor Kelth, welcome to Earth. We were not expecting your visit. If you had told us you were coming, we would have prepared properly. Kelth's smile did not reach his eyes. Surprise visits are more informative, Ambassador. I am sure you understand. The Council has noticed some irregularities in Earth's resource reports, small inconsistencies, probably nothing. But we must investigate, of course. We will provide full cooperation. What do you need? Access to your mining operations, your shipyards, your research facilities, everything. Kelth watched Tae-Yang's face carefully. I hope that will not be a problem. No problem at all, Tae-Yang lied smoothly. Inside, his mind raced. They needed to hide everything even better. One mistake and Kelth would find the truth. For 3 weeks, Kelth investigated. He went everywhere. He studied every report. He interviewed workers and scientists. His team of investigators searched through data files and examined equipment. They were thorough and relentless, and they found nothing. Humanity had hidden the truth too well. The resources going to Project Nightfall were masked as losses, accidents, and inefficiencies. The scientists working on the dark matter ships were officially assigned to boring civilian projects. Every trail led nowhere, but Kelth was not satisfied. The numbers still do not add up, he told Tae-Yang. I cannot find the problem, but I know it exists. I can feel it. Perhaps the problem is in your calculations, Tae-Yang suggested politely. Human record-keeping has improved, but we are still learning Council standards. Kelth stared at him for a long moment. Perhaps. Or perhaps humanity is better at deception than we gave you credit for. He left without another word. That night, Tae-Yang sent an encrypted message to Admiral Kyung-Soo. Kelth suspects something. He has no proof, but he will keep watching. We need to be even more careful. Meanwhile, in deep space, Commander Ji-won piloted the Phantom on a test flight. She pushed the ship to its limits, testing every system. The dark matter reactor hummed with power. The ship responded to her commands like it was alive. Then the proximity alarm screamed. A Council border patrol had appeared on sensors. 3 ships, standard configuration, probably conducting routine scans of the sector. They have not detected us yet, reported the sensor officer. But if they do an active scan, they will see us. Ji-won's hands tightened on the controls. She had 2 choices. She could activate the phasing drive and hide, or she could destroy the patrol before they could report. Both options were dangerous. Phasing would drain the reactor and might leave traces. Destroying them would mean 3 ships suddenly disappearing. The Council would investigate. Activate phasing, she ordered. Minimal power. Make us a ghost. The ship shimmered and faded. Not invisible, but shifted slightly out of normal space. The dark matter field bent light and sensors around them. To the patrol ships, there was nothing there. The patrol came closer. Their sensors swept the area. Ji-won held her breath. On the tactical display, she could see the patrol commander ordering detailed scans. They were being thorough. Then one of the patrol ships turned toward them. Directly toward them. "They are detecting something," whispered the sensor officer. "Gravitational anomalies. The phasing field creates slight distortions in space." Jiwan made a decision. "Weapons target that ship's sensor array. If they get a clear reading, destroy it. Non-lethal if possible." But then the patrol ships turned away. Their commander had decided the readings were instrument errors. Such anomalies happened in deep space. The patrol moved on, leaving the area empty and quiet. Jiwan exhaled slowly. "Stand down from alert. Return to base." She looked at her crew. "We were lucky, but luck runs out. We need more ships, and we need them soon." Back at the hidden facility, Admiral Kyung-soo received Jiwan's report. He also received another message, this one from Ambassador Tae-yang on Earth. The Council was planning a vote. New restrictions on humanity. Mandatory technology audits. Limits on military ships. Required inspections of all facilities, including those in deep space. If the restrictions passed, the Council would find Project Nightfall within months. Everything would be discovered. Everything would be destroyed. Kyung-soo called an emergency meeting of all senior personnel. Dr. Hyunwoo was there, looking older and more tired. Engineer Da-eun brought the latest construction reports. Commander Jiwan attended via secure hologram. "The Council is closing the net," Kyung-soo said. "We have perhaps 3 months before they force inspections we cannot hide from. How many ships can we complete in that time?" Da-eun checked her data. 10 more ships. Maybe 12 if we work around the clock and take risks with quality control. 15 to 17 ships total, Hyunwoo said, against a council with thousands of warships. "The mathematics are not favorable. The mathematics do not account for our technological advantage," Jiwan countered. "One of our ships could destroy 10 of theirs. Maybe 20. Our speed alone makes us nearly invincible." "Nearly is not enough," Hyunwoo argued. "If we reveal ourselves too early, they will find ways to counter our technology. They have been waging war for millennia. We have been in space for barely a century." Kyung-soo listened to them debate. Finally, he raised his hand for silence. "We do not have the luxury of perfect conditions. The Council forces our hand. We accelerate production. We finish every ship we can, and we prepare for the day when secrecy is no longer possible." He looked at each of them. "When that day comes, humanity will stand or fall based on what we build here." No pressure. It was a weak joke, but no one laughed. They all knew the truth. Humanity had started down a path that could only end 2 ways. Either they would force the galaxy to see them as equals, or they would be destroyed for trying. There was no middle ground anymore. The construction accelerated. Workers labored in shifts that never ended. Engineers pushed systems beyond safe limits. Scientists solved problems in hours that should have taken weeks. Everyone knew what was at stake. And in the council chambers light years away, Inquisitor Kelth prepared his final report. He still had no proof of wrongdoing, but his instincts screamed that something was wrong. He requested authorization for a full military inspection of all human space. Every facility, every station, every hidden corner of the Sol system. The request went to a vote. It passed unanimously. 40 council warships were assigned to the inspection fleet. They would arrive at Earth in 1 month. When Kyung-soo received the news, he stood in silence for a long moment. Then he sent a single message to all Project Nightfall personnel. 1 month. Finish all ships or finish as a species. No more delays. No more caution. We go all in. The countdown had begun. Humanity's secret was about to be revealed. The only question was whether they would be ready when it happened. The Council inspection fleet arrived at Neptune's orbit exactly 28 days after receiving authorization. 40 warships arranged in perfect formation, representing 12 different species. They were there to inspect, but everyone knew what they really expected to find. Evidence that humanity had broken Council law. Evidence that would justify punishment. High Arbiter Thon commanded the fleet from his flagship, the Eternal Justice. He was a Drethian, a species known for military excellence and absolute discipline. His 4 arms moved precisely as he studied the tactical displays. His compound eyes saw in spectrums humans could not imagine, and right now those eyes saw only a weak species that needed to be reminded of its place. "Ambassador Lee?" Thon's voice crackled over the communication channel. "The Council inspection fleet has arrived. We will begin scanning operations immediately. Prepare all facilities for boarding and examination." On Earth, Ambassador Tae-yang stood in the command center beneath Geneva. Around him, Military officers monitored displays showing the Council fleet. Every face was tense. High Arbiter, we request a 3-day grace period to prepare proper documentation and facility access. Request denied. Inspections begin now. Any delay will be considered evidence of violation. Thon cut the transmission. Tae-yang turned to Fleet Admiral Sang-hoon Yoon, who stood beside him. They are not giving us a choice. Sang-hoon nodded slowly. Then we give them the truth. All ships execute Operation Nightfall. Decloak and form battle formation. In the space around the Council fleet, reality shimmered. One by one, 18 dark matter warships materialized. They had been there the entire time, invisible and waiting. The Phantom, the Eclipse, the Shadow, the Wraith. Names chosen for ships that could become ghosts. They were beautiful and terrifying. Black hulls that seemed to absorb light. Sleek lines that suggested impossible speed. And they surrounded the Council fleet completely. On the Eternal Justice, alarm screamed. Thon stared at his displays in disbelief. How? Our sensors showed nothing. These ships do not exist in our databases. What are they? Commander Ji-won sat in the captain's chair of the Phantom. She opened a channel to the Council fleet. Her voice was calm and clear. High Arbiter Thon, allow me to introduce Earth's Defense Force. The real one. Not the handful of outdated ships you permit us to operate. These are dark matter warships, built in secret over the past 3 years, powered by technology you declared impossible. Thon's mandibles clicked in anger. This is a violation of the Forbidden Sciences Accord. You have committed an act of war against the Council. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed. Ji-won smiled, though Thon could not see it. I do not think you understand the situation, High Arbiter. You came to inspect us, to judge us, to find us lacking. But the truth is we stopped being the weak newcomers the moment we unlocked dark matter, and we are tired of pretending otherwise. Insolent words from a species about to be crushed, Thon snarled. All ships weapons free. Destroy them. The Council fleet opened fire. Energy beams and missiles filled space with deadly light. It was an overwhelming barrage that could destroy a planet. For a moment it seemed like the human ships would be vaporized, but the dark matter warships simply phased. They became translucent, existing partially outside normal space. The Council weapons passed through them like they were holograms. Not a single shot connected. Then the human ship struck back. The Phantom accelerated to speeds that should have been impossible. One moment it was at the edge of the formation. The next moment it was next to Thon's flagship, firing precision burst from its dark matter cannons. The beams did not explode the target. They simply unmade it. Shields, armor, weapon systems dissolved at the molecular level. The Eclipse and Shadow worked together, moving in perfect coordination. They darted between Council ships faster than sensors could track. Each burst of their weapons disabled another vessel. Engines offline. Weapons destroyed. Life support failing. But no ships destroyed. No crews killed. Every strike was surgical and precise. Captain Hyo-jin commanded the Eclipse with aggressive efficiency. Target the carrier's propulsion. Make it drift. Target the cruiser's weapons array. Make it harmless. Her ship danced through space like a deadly ballet dancer. The Council fleet tried to adapt. They changed formation. They coordinated fire patterns. They launched fighters and drones. Nothing worked. The human ships were simply too fast, too advanced, too overwhelming. 4 minutes after the battle began, it was over. Every Council ship was disabled. Drifting in space, powerless and helpless. Not one had been destroyed. Not one crew member killed. It was the most humiliating defeat in Council history. High Arbiter Thon sat in his darkened bridge, emergency lights flickering around him. His pride was broken. His fleet was defeated, and he had not even scratched the enemy. The airlock on his ship opened without permission. Human Marines in dark matter-enhanced armor entered. They moved with impossible grace, their armor allowing them to phase through walls if needed. They were polite but firm as they escorted Thon to the communication room. A holographic display activated. Fleet Admiral Sang-hoon Yoon appeared, along with Ambassador Tae-yang and Commander Ji-won. They looked at Thon without anger, only determination. High Arbiter, Sang-hoon began, you came to judge us. Instead, you have learned a lesson. Humanity is not weak. We are not inferior. We are not children to be controlled and limited. For 23 years, we accepted the Council's restrictions. We obeyed rules designed to keep us powerless. But no more, Tae-yang continued. You will return to the Council with a message. Humanity demands immediate renegotiation of all treaties. We demand elevation to Tier 1 status with full rights and privileges. We demand a formal apology for 2 decades of deliberate suppression, and we demand respect. And if the Council refuses? Thon asked, his voice bitter. Ji-won answered. Then we will dismantle the Council. Ship by ship, station by station. We do not want war, High Arbiter, but we will no longer accept oppression. The choice is yours. You cannot defeat the entire Council, Thon said, but his words lacked conviction. We have thousands of ships. You had 40 ships an hour ago, Ji-won replied. Now you have 40 pieces of floating scrap, and we did not even try hard. Do you really want to test us further? Thon had no answer. The humans released him. They repaired his ship's communication systems and gave him enough power to limp home. They even provided medical supplies for his wounded crew. Then they simply vanished, phasing back into invisibility. The journey back to the Council Assembly took 3 weeks. 3 weeks for Thon to think about his defeat. 3 weeks for the other fleet commanders to question everything they knew about warfare. 3 weeks for doubt to spread among the Council species. When Thon finally arrived at the Council Assembly Station, he was brought before the High Chamber. 1,000 representatives from 1,000 species gathered to hear his report. The chamber was a massive sphere filled with floating platforms, each holding delegates from different worlds. Thon stood at the center platform and told the truth. Every humiliating detail, the invisible ships, the impossible speed, the precision strikes, the complete defeat. As he spoke, holographic recordings of the battle played for all to see. Silence filled the chamber when he finished. Then chaos erupted. Species shouted at each other. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others called for negotiation. Fear spread like fire. If humanity could defeat 40 ships that easily, what could they do to entire fleets? Coordinator Vrax, who had inspected Hyunwoo's station years ago, sat in his delegation platform with his head in his hands. He had seen the unusual energy readings. He had suspected something was wrong, but he had dismissed it. Now his failure had led to this disaster. Inquisitor Kelth watched the recordings with narrow eyes. His suspicions had been correct, but knowing he was right brought no satisfaction, only worry. Humanity had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. Nothing would ever be the same. The High Council, the 20 most powerful species, met in emergency session. They debated for hours. Should they accept humanity's demands? Should they fight? Could they even win? Grand Marshal Torvex, Supreme Commander of all Council military forces, gave his assessment. If we develop countermeasures, we might defeat them eventually. But it would take years, and in that time they would only grow stronger. We face an enemy with superior technology and the element of surprise. This is not a war we can win quickly. Then we negotiate, suggested the Talvoon representative. We give them what they want. We show weakness, countered the Drathian delegate. If we bow to their demands, every other species will question our authority. The Council will fracture. The debate continued through the night. Finally, a vote was called. The question was simple. Respond with military force or attempt negotiation? The vote passed by a narrow margin. The Council would respond with force. Pride and fear won over wisdom. They would assemble the largest military fleet in galactic history. They would crush humanity before this rebellion could spread. The declaration of war was transmitted across the galaxy. Every species received the message. Humanity had violated Council law. Humanity had threatened Council peace. Humanity would be made an example. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Sang-hoon received the declaration. 6 weeks after the declaration of war, the Council fleet arrived at the Sol system. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. 2,000 warships from 40 different species. Carriers larger than cities, battleships that could crack planets, enough firepower to sterilize 100 worlds. Grand Marshal Torvex commanded from his flagship, the Destiny's Hand. He was old for his species, but his strategic mind was sharper than ever. He had fought in 17 major campaigns and won them all. He studied the tactical displays with satisfaction. The humans had 30 dark matter ships at most. He had 2,000 conventional warships. The math was simple, but Torvex was not arrogant. He had watched the recordings of Thon's defeat many times. He understood the human advantages, speed, stealth, precision, so he designed a strategy to counter them. Overwhelming numbers attacking from multiple directions simultaneously. The humans could not be everywhere at once. All forces, begin attack pattern Omega-7, Torvex ordered. Target Earth, Mars, the asteroid belt, and Jupiter's moons. Divide their attention. Spread their forces thin. The massive fleet split into 4 groups. Each group advanced toward a different target. Sensors swept space constantly, searching for any sign of the invisible human ships. Every vessel was ready for combat. On Earth, millions of people watched the sky. They had been evacuated from the major cities. Children clutched their parents. Old people remembered stories of ancient wars. Everyone wondered if this would be humanity's last day. In the command center beneath Geneva, Fleet Admiral Sang Hoon watched the Council fleet approach. Around him, his staff monitored 100 different displays. Ambassador Tae Yang stood beside him, his face calm despite the fear he must have felt. They divided their forces, Sang Hoon observed. Smart. Torvex learns from his mistakes. Can we win? Tae Yang asked quietly. We have to. There is no other option. Sang Hoon activated the fleet-wide channel. All ships execute Ghost Protocol. Show them what happens when you corner humanity. In space, 30 human warships activated their dark matter phase drives at maximum power. They did not just become invisible, they became undetectable by any means. No sensors could find them. No weapons could target them. They existed partially outside normal space, able to see and strike but impossible to touch. Commander Jiwon sat in the Phantom's command chair. Her hands were steady on the controls. All weapons free fire authorization. Target command ships and capital vessels. Disable, do not destroy. We are not monsters, the human ships struck like ghosts. One moment the Council fleet advanced unopposed. The next moment ships started dying. A battleship's engines exploded. A carrier's bridge went dark. A cruiser spun out of control, its navigation systems erased. Captain Hyo Jin commanded the Eclipse with aggressive precision. She had studied every species in the Council fleet. She knew their weaknesses. The Drathian ships relied on centralized command systems. She targeted those first. The Talvun vessels had vulnerable reactor containment. She struck those next. Target the flagship's sensor array, Hyo Jin ordered. Make them blind. Then take out their communications. Make them deaf. Let them feel what it is like to fight an enemy you cannot see or understand. The Eclipse phased through the Council formation. Weapons fire passed harmlessly through its hull. It appeared next to the Destiny's hand for exactly 2 seconds, long enough to fire precisely targeted bursts. Then it vanished again. On the Destiny's hand, Grand Marshal Torvex watched his displays flicker and die. His communications officer reported in panic. Marshal, we have lost contact with 30% of the fleet. Casualty reports are impossible. We cannot see the enemy. We cannot track them. They are everywhere and nowhere. Torvex felt something he had not experienced in decades. Doubt. His perfect strategy meant nothing if he could not find the enemy. His overwhelming numbers meant nothing if the enemy could strike at will. For the first time in his career, he did not know what to do. All ships return fire at will, he ordered. Saturate the combat zone. They have to be somewhere. The Council fleet opened fire in every direction. Energy beams and missiles filled space with deadly light. Ships shot at shadows and empty coordinates. Some vessels accidentally hit each other in the chaos. It was panic and desperation, not strategy. The human ships continued their deadly work. They moved through the Council formation like surgeons, cutting precisely and efficiently. Engines destroyed. Weapons disabled. Life support damaged but not destroyed. Ships were rendered helpless, but crews were left alive. Dr. Bora Lim had developed a new weapon specifically for this battle. Dark matter explosives that could be teleported directly inside enemy ships. They appeared in engine rooms and weapon bays, detonating with just enough force to disable systems without killing crews. It was terrifying and merciful at the same time. 3 hours into the battle, the Council fleet had lost 400 ships. Not destroyed, just disabled, floating in space, powerless and blind. The human fleet had taken no damage. Not one ship scratched. Not one crew member injured. Grand Marshal Torvex made the hardest decision of his life. All ships fall back. Retreat to Rally Point Alpha. We cannot win this engagement. But the human ships pursued. Not to destroy, but to demonstrate. They appeared alongside retreating vessels. Close enough to touch. Close enough to kill. But they only fired warning shots. The message was clear. We could kill you all. We are choosing not to. Remember that. Captain Hyojin led a strike team to Alpha Centauri, the Council's main fortress station in human space. It was supposed to be impregnable. Shields that could withstand fleet bombardment, weapons that could destroy planets, 10,000 soldiers and advanced AI defense systems. The eclipse phased directly into the station's command center. Dark matter explosives appeared at every critical system simultaneously. The explosions were perfectly calculated. The defensive grid went offline. The weapons became useless. The shields collapsed, but the life support remained intact. The civilian areas were untouched. Only the military capabilities were destroyed. Hyojin broadcast a message to the stunned station personnel. We could have destroyed the station and everyone on it. We did not. Remember that when you vote on whether to continue this war, humanity is not your enemy. Your pride is. News of the battle spread across the galaxy instantly. Every species watched the recordings. Every government saw the impossible. The largest fleet ever assembled had been defeated in 3 hours by 30 ships. Not just defeated, humiliated, rendered helpless like children. The political impact was immediate. Species started withdrawing their ships from the Council fleet. They claimed they needed to defend their own territories. But everyone knew the truth. They were afraid of fighting an enemy they could not even see. The Talvun hegemony, one of the Council's most powerful members, announced they were declaring neutrality. They recalled their entire military force. Their representative made a public statement. We will not sacrifice our people in a war that cannot be won. The Council must negotiate with humanity as equals. Other species followed. Within a week, half the Council fleet had been recalled. The Grand Alliance was crumbling. Fear proved stronger than unity. Ambassador Tae Yang decided it was time to deliver humanity's final message. He broadcast directly to every Council world, to every government, to every citizen. His words were simple and clear. People of the galaxy, humanity does not seek your destruction. We do not want to conquer your worlds or enslave your people. We seek only one thing: respect. For 23 years, the Council treated us as inferior. They limited our growth. They restricted our technology. They denied us basic rights. We asked for fairness. We were ignored. We demonstrated our capability. We were attacked. Now we have shown you the truth. Humanity is not weak. We are not primitive. We are not children. Stand down and we will negotiate as equals. Continue this war and we will dismantle every military installation in Council space. The choice is yours. But choose quickly. Our patience has limits. As Tae Yang spoke, the human fleet executed a demonstration that left the galaxy speechless. Every major Council homeworld woke to find human warships in orbit. Not attacking. Just there. Visible for once. A show of impossible power. They had bypassed every defense. They had penetrated every secure system, simultaneously, across hundreds of light years. On the Drathian homeworld, citizens looked up to see 3 dark matter warships hovering above their capital. On Talvun Prime, 5 ships appeared over major cities. On the Council assembly station itself, 10 warships materialized surrounding the ancient structure. The message was impossible to misunderstand. Humanity could strike anywhere, anytime. There was no defense. There was no hiding. The Council's military superiority was an illusion. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the most chaotic in history. Representatives shouted and argued. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others called for desperate measures. A few suggested using weapons of mass destruction, even if it meant destroying Earth along with the human fleet. Grand Marshal Torvex ended the debate with brutal honesty. I have commanded military forces for 40 years. I have studied warfare across 100 species. I have won every battle I commanded. Until now. He paused, letting his words sink in. 4 months after the ceasefire, the galaxy was still adjusting to its new reality. The Galactic Council existed, but it was transformed. The old hierarchy was gone. No species could claim superiority anymore, not when 30 human ships could defeat thousands of the Council's best vessels. The Treaty of Unity was signed on Earth, in the same Geneva Hall where humanity had once debated whether to join the Council. Now, representatives from every major species gathered to sign a new charter, one that promised equality, respect, and freedom for all members. Ambassador Taiyang Li stood at the center of the hall, now serving as chair of the reformed Galactic Assembly. It was a position that rotated every 2 years to prevent any species from accumulating too much power. He looked older than he had before the war. Gray hair had turned white. Lines around his eyes had deepened, but his voice remained strong. "Today we build something new," he announced. "Not a council of masters and servants, not a hierarchy of strong and weak, but a true alliance of equals. The old ways nearly destroyed us all. Let us make sure they never return." The treaty included radical changes. No species could be restricted in scientific research. Military forces had to be proportional to territory size. Technology sharing was encouraged, not forbidden. And most importantly, no single species could hold permanent power. Humanity's part of the agreement surprised many. They agreed to share dark matter reactor technology with all council species. Not the weapons applications, but the peaceful uses, propulsion systems, energy generation, medical applications. Dr. Hyun-Woo Kang led the technology transfer initiative. He stood in a laboratory on Unity Station, the new council headquarters built in neutral space between major powers. Around him, scientists from dozens of species worked together, learning the principles of dark matter manipulation. Some were brilliant. Some struggled. But all were grateful. A young Talvun researcher approached him nervously. "Dr. Kang, I must ask, why share this knowledge? You could have kept it secret, maintained your advantage forever." Hyun-Woo smiled sadly. "Because power corrupts. We fought for equality, not domination. If we hoarded this technology, we would become exactly what we fought against. Besides, advancing the entire galaxy benefits humanity too. We all rise together or fall together." But not everyone was happy with the new order. Some species resented their loss of status. The Drethian Empire had ruled military matters for centuries. Now they were just one voice among many. Parts of the Talvun hegemony quietly began researching ways to counter dark matter technology. They shared their findings with no one. Commander Ji-won, now Fleet Admiral of Earth's Defense Force, was aware of these activities. Her intelligence network was extensive. She met with Taiyang privately to discuss the situation. "They are developing countermeasures," she reported. "Shield frequencies that might resist dark matter weapons, sensor arrays that might detect phased ships. They are being careful, but they are definitely working on it." Taeyang nodded. "Expected. We cannot blame them for wanting to protect themselves. The question is whether they plan defense or revenge. I recommend we monitor but not interfere. If we try to stop their research, we prove we are no better than the old council. But if they develop something threatening, we must be ready." "Agreed. How is the fleet expansion going?" Ji-won allowed herself a small smile. "We have 50 dark matter warships now, and we are training mixed crews, humans working alongside aliens. If we can build trust at that level, the rest will follow." The mixed crew initiative was controversial but necessary. Captain Hyojin commanded one of the first mixed vessels. Her crew included humans, Talvun, Drethians, and 3 other species. The first weeks were difficult. Language barriers, cultural misunderstandings, old resentments, but gradually they learned to work together. The Drethian tactical officer was brilliant at pattern recognition. The Talvun engineer understood energy systems in ways humans never had. When they focused on the mission instead of the past, they excelled. Admiral Sang-hoon Yoon had retired from active service after the war ended. He lived quietly in a house by the ocean, writing his memoirs and consulting occasionally on defense matters. But he could not escape what they had done. Sometimes he woke at night, remembering the council ships they had disabled, the crews they had terrified, the war they had started. Dr. Hyun-Woo visited him one evening. They sat on the porch, watching the sunset over the water. Neither spoke for a long time. Finally, Sang-hoon broke the silence. "Do you ever wonder if we made the right choice? We could have revealed the technology peacefully, negotiated from a position of strength without demonstrating it." "Every day," Hyun-Woo admitted. "But I remember what the council was like. They never would have listened. They would have found ways to suppress us, to steal our research, to keep us powerless. Sometimes you have to break things to fix them. We killed no one, Sang-hoon said. That matters. We could have destroyed their fleets. We chose mercy. Mercy with overwhelming force is still force, but yes, it matters. History will judge us. All we can do now is try to build something better. A memorial was established in Geneva for all those affected by the conflict. It honored both human and alien casualties. Though no one had died in ship combat, there were other losses. Scientists who suffered from stress, families separated by the tension, trust that would take generations to rebuild. Admiral Ji-won gave a speech at the memorial's dedication. Her words were broadcast across the galaxy. We achieved victory, but victory is not the same as success. We force change, but change brings pain. The cost of our revolution was measured not in lives but in relationships, in trust broken and rebuilt, in fear that must be healed with time and action. We have proven humanity's strength. Now we must prove humanity's wisdom. Power without responsibility is tyranny, and we refuse to become what we fought against. Her words resonated with many species. Some who had resented humanity began to see them differently, not as aggressive newcomers but as reformers who had done what others only wished they could do, challenge the system and win. But darker events were unfolding beyond the Council's borders. Deep space monitoring stations detected unusual signals from extragalactic space. Something was approaching, something vast and organized. The signals were clearly artificial, clearly intelligent, and clearly not friendly. Dr. Bo-Ra Lim was the first to decode part of the signal. What she found chilled her blood. It was a warning sent millions of years ago by a long-dead civilization. It spoke of destroyers, beings that consumed entire galaxies. They moved slowly by cosmic standards, but inevitably, and they were coming. The Council Assembly met in emergency session. Fear united them faster than any treaty. Grand Marshal Torvex, retired but called back to service, studied the data with grim concentration. Whatever is coming, it is larger than our conflicts. Humanity's dark matter warships are powerful, but these readings suggest something on a scale we cannot imagine. We need to prepare. Together. Ambassador Tai Yang addressed the assembly. For 1,000 years, the Council maintained peace through hierarchy. That peace was built on inequality. It crumbled when challenged. Now we build a new peace, one based on cooperation. We will need it. Because what approaches does not care about our politics or our past. It only cares about consumption. We face it as equals or we face extinction. Species that had barely spoken to each other months ago now worked side by side. Humanity shared dark matter technology. The Drethians contributed their military expertise. The Talvan provided advanced manufacturing. Even the species that resented the new order contributed. Survival demanded it. Dr. Hyunwoo stood in the observation deck of Unity Station, watching ships from 100 species patrol together. They were preparing for something none of them fully understood, but they were preparing together. Commander Ji-won joined him at the window. She had been running combat drills with the mixed fleets. 30 dark matter warships shattered the Council. Now we have 200, crewed by multiple species. Whatever is coming, we will face it with everything we have. Do you think we did the right thing? Hyunwoo asked. Starting all of this? Ji-won thought carefully before answering. We broke an unjust system. We forced change through overwhelming power. We started a war, even if we did not call it that. But we also stopped the war before it became genocidal. We showed mercy when we could have shown cruelty. We shared knowledge when we could have hoarded it. Did we do the right thing? History will judge. But we did what we believed was necessary. And we are still here to face the consequences. Then we keep moving forward, Hyunwoo said. The galaxy needed to change. We made it change. Now we deal with what comes next. They stood together in silence, watching the fleet prepare. In the distance, the warning signal grew stronger. Something was coming. Something that would test not just humanity, but all of galactic civilization. But for the first time in history, the galaxy would face it as equals. United not by hierarchy, but by necessity. Changed not by slow evolution, but by revolution. The Galactic Council had been shattered by humanity's dark matter warships. What rose from those pieces was something new, something better, or so they hoped. Hyun-woo looked at his reflection in the window. He saw a tired scientist who had changed the galaxy,